Welcome to The Fight on Matrix Midwest with Randy Carricker.
Hi, kids. Welcome to the program. It is great to have you with us. Coming up, Aaron Donald is coming back to the Rams, I'm pretty sure. We have a trip around the horn with news and notes from Major League Baseball, and we have The Fight. But first, it's time for your quick hits, and they are sponsored by St. Luke's. And the Cardinals will host the National League's worst team, the Colorado Rockies, this weekend. Occasionally, I like to add some perspective to being a Cardinal fan. Well, there's no doubt that missing the playoffs is not a good thing, and we should expect the Cardinals to make the playoffs. It could be way, way, way worse. This is the fourth straight year the Rockies have had the worst record in the National League. In the fifth straight year, they'll have finished last in their division. In the last 5 years, this year incomplete, here's how many games out of first they've been at the end of the season. 32 and a half games, 41 games, 43 games, 37 games, and last year they were 50 games back in their division at the end of the season. The last time the Rockies had a winning record and made the playoffs was 2018. And under the ownership of the Monfort family, players like Troy Tulowitzki, Trevor Story, and Nolan Arenado wanted out and got out. So, while we hate it here that our team is a couple of games under 500 and they're rebuilding and they aren't as dominant as they were between 2000 and 2022, we can at least take solace in the fact that there is some upside with a lot of these players, and at least our team has never finished 50 games out. As a matter of fact, you look at the Rockies in their history. You could argue that of the top 7 players in Rockies history, Andres Galarraga, Larry Walker, Matt Holliday, Nolan Arenado, 4 of those guys have played for the Cardinals. So, as we watch the Colorado Rockies this weekend, just keep an eye on whoever their best player is and know that at some point he's going to be a member of the Cardinals. That's a pretty good thing to know, isn't it? Yeah, the Rockies are bad, but you'll see them here on Matrix Midwest Friday night at 7 o'clock, the Cardinals and the Rockies. Adam Schefter tweeted on Wednesday that Aaron Donald wanted to do a workout in a football helmet, and even though he did not wear pads during it, he used Rams team equipment at their facility during training camp, requiring the Rams to report his activity to the NFL. After practice, Rams coach Sean McVay talked to ESPN Los Angeles.
I was going to ask about Aaron Donald, but you've answered it every which way.
Yeah.
You want to try a different answer?
What do you want me to say? He's coming back?
Blink twice.
Yeah.
Blink twice.
Yeah, there you go. You can't see through my shades. He's on track. He's doing great. You know, we've got some tentative dates set. Like I mentioned, it won't be until we leave here. But he is working his tail off. He's putting himself in a position. You know, one of the things that I think is great is, you know, when he played those 10 years, he knows what it looks like to be able to put himself in position to be ready to go. And he's, you know, it's a rare thing where he's taking care of himself with these 2 years off. And anybody that follows his Instagram knows that's the case. But he's a motivated guy, and one of the things I think is great is whatever he does full speed, and he doesn't owe us anything, and I really mean that and believe that. This guy gave so much to me, to this organization, and really he gave 10 years of everything that he's got, and if he's going to be able to do that again, you know, then we want to try to be able to figure out what it looks like to be able to add him and add value to this team, but you know, we'll see, but so far, you know, things seem to be trending in the right direction, but certainly don't want to put the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
So Donald is coming back to be on the same defensive line as Myles Garrett. That's great. One of the last of the St. Louis Rams that will still be playing in the National Football League in 2026. Great player, Hall of Famer, and I hope his return to the Rams is better than Reggie White, for example, coming back to the Carolina Panthers, which was kind of sad, except for one game against the St. Louis Rams. But I hope Donald has a chance to be great again and does be great again. Hey, we got the news Wednesday morning that Live Golf CEO Scott O'Neill said he had secured an investor to keep Live going next season and beyond. But Bryson DeChambeau's contract is up after this year, and the league may have to file for bankruptcy, which would allow John Rahm to leave the Live Tour. Eamon Lynch of Golf Channel.
Scott O'Neill, it's still an enormous challenge, even if you do have the players on your side. Even if Bryson and Rahm do stay, you're still trying to make a viable business out of something that couldn't work when the richest sovereign wealth fund on earth was putting north of $6 billion into it. It's got a very tainted brand because the bot farms and the online bootlickers aren't going to help you make a business out of this right now. And can he make it?
A little subdued early, the crowd as well.
It's going to be hard for LIV to make it, regardless of who they get putting money in, because that person or that entity doesn't have as much money as, for example, the private investment fund in Saudi Arabia had. So I don't know how he's going to do it, but I'll say this. If I'm a player and I can leave, I'm leaving. It's great that they have this plan for players to partially own the league, but the league has lost money in each of its first 5 years. And by the way, the name of LIV Golf is based on playing 54 holes. LIV is 54 in Roman numerals. Now that they're playing 72, they have to change the name too, I think. But the only way this works is if they play worldwide between September through January. It's kind of like the UFL. If there's a PGA event on and a LIV event on, nobody's going to watch LIV. So they have to try during the PGA Tour's off-season, and there's plenty of time to do that worldwide. So if I was LIV, that would be the approach that I would take. We haven't seen the Senate act yet on the Protect College Sports bill as the Senate prepares for a 5-week recess that would start after Friday's session. But there are a couple of notes that I wanted to pass along that I wasn't aware of. First of all, with Lane Kiffin leaving Ole Miss for LSU while Ole Miss was still playing, the authors of the bill noted that. And the bill will prevent any FBS coach from participating in head coaching duties at a new school before the conclusion of that team's, his old team's season, or the season of the coach's prior team, whichever occurs later. The provision is being called the Lane Kiffin Rule by people involved. But here's another interesting note. The bill qualifies any individual who serves as football personnel accepting a head coaching job elsewhere. That means that former Oregon coordinators Will Stein and Tosh Lupoi wouldn't have been able to do any work for Kentucky or Cal, respectively, until Oregon's season ended. Technically, these coaches can accept a new job, but they can't recruit, they can't make roster decisions, they can't supervise staff, or even publicly represent the new school in any football capacity until after the team's final games. Penalties for violations of this include a one-season suspension, a full-season suspension, and potentially more. The other note I had is that for all intents and purposes, conference realignment is over. The bill amends the Sports Broadcasting Act of 1961 to freeze almost all of what's in place. Conferences that report more than $700 million in revenue, the Power Four, would be limited to 19 members. And any team in a Power Four league for the previous 5 years could not move to another league, like when Mizzou moved from the Big 12 to the SEC. That means any Power Four team looking to change conferences would be required to operate as an independent program for 5 years before making a move. So you'd have to leave one conference, be independent for 5 years, and then go to the next conference. And no school, even Texas or Ohio State or Oregon, is going to give up that much TV money for 5 years, especially when SEC and Big Ten teams have to play 9 conference games and have only 3 non-conference games. So Mizzou is in the SEC forever. Illinois will never leave the Big Ten. That's one of the parts of the Protect College Sports Act, and I really like it. By the way, how'd you like to be Stanford and Cal and be stuck in the ACC forever? That's not going to work. Back to baseball for a moment. Yankees 3-time MVP Aaron Judge, who's been out with a broken rib since the end of May, got a scan on that rib on Wednesday, and all went well, despite some people wondering if Judge will be back this year. He has no doubt.
Does it further give you confidence that you will be back this season?
Oh, I'll be back this season. I don't know why I wouldn't be. That was always a plan to come back. Sooner than later, definitely. But yeah, I never had a thought of not playing this year.
Well, it's not going to be sooner rather than later. But he also knows that we're into August now, and he's running out of time.
I got a broken rib. You're going to feel it. So, but it's healing up. So that's the progress we want to see, so we can start doing some more and kind of test it and see where we're at. Because you're running out of days. You got 52 days left, 53 days left. So you got to get back out there.
And manager Aaron Boone said that he's going to have to really go through a full spring training. That's 6 weeks. Since Judge went down, the Yankees have been at the bottom of baseball in runs, home runs, OPS, and slugging. They desperately need him healthy. Their pitching has been good enough, and unfortunately, with him not there, they just aren't a very good team. You talk about a one-man offense, Aaron Judge is that for the New York Yankees. Those are your quick hits, and they're sponsored by St. Luke's. Top-notch doctors in everything from heart health to orthopedics and more. Visit stlukes-stl.com today. Later in the show, I will have a daily wager for you. We had a push yesterday. We'll tell you about that. And the daily wager is going to be fun. It's a good one that we should win relatively easily. But next up, we have The Fight and a trip around the horn with MLB news and notes here in The Fight.
Welcome to The Fight. I'm Director Tyler. It's that time for the week. Time for the mastermind of all trivia to flex his brain muscles. Randy Carricker, you're in the green room. How are you doing? You're on a winning streak.
Yeah, I am, and it has happened again, so I'm pretty excited about it. Pretty excited to have this belt right here.
All right, let's meet your challenger. It's Josh. Josh, how are you doing today?
Hey, good. How is everybody?
Good. You're coming to us from Florida?
I am, Parrish, Florida. Real close to Tampa Bay.
Well, nice. Well, welcome. Do you know St. Louis sports?
I do. I grew up in St. Louis. I moved to Florida about 4 years ago.
Well, I am jealous of you. My brother lives in Florida, and I'm down there all the time, so I'm really jealous that you're in Florida. Randy, any words for Josh?
Josh, good luck, and good to have you with us. Good to have you making your St. Louis presence known here from Florida.
Oh, yeah. Thanks. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, Randy, I'm going to be mean. Take your ear out, and I'm kicking you out.
You got it.
We'll see you in a few minutes. All right, Josh, it's just you and I. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, question number 1. Which Cardinals player hit the first home run at the current Busch Stadium? Scott Rowland, Albert Pujols, or Jim Edmonds?
Oh, the current Busch Stadium.
Current Busch Stadium, opened in 06.
I'm going to go with Albert.
You're going to go with...
I'm going to go with Jimmy, I think, actually.
You're going to go with Jimmy. All right, sounds good. Question number 2. After trading Braden Shen to the Islanders in 2026, the Blues played the rest of the season without a captain. Before Schenner, there was O'Reilly Pietrangelo, but who was the captain before Pietrangelo? Was it Backus, Eric Brewer, or Alexander Steen?
I believe it was David Backus.
I believe it was Backus. All right, question number 3. What St. Louis City SC player scored the franchise's first goal and announced his wife was pregnant as the celebration? João Klaus, Nicholas Grinici, or Tim Parker?
Ooh, this one I don't know since I moved before FC started playing, but I'm going to go with Nicholas G.
All right, that is going to be your answer. Question number 4. The Chicago Cubs, boo, ended their 108-year World Series championship drought in 2016. But which franchise currently holds a 70-year active drought with their last World Series win in 1948? The Cleveland Guardians, the Pittsburgh Pirates, or the San Diego Padres?
Ooh, I think it's the Guardians.
You think it is the Guardians? We're going to lock that answer in. All right, time for the tiebreaker. How many regular season goals did Vladimir Tarasenko score as a Blues player? Regular season, how many did he score wearing the blue note on the chest?
Oh, geez. 265.
265 is Josh's answer. I'm going to text Randy here really quick to get his ear back in. How do you feel about those answers?
Not great.
Not?
50% maybe.
50%. All right, Randy, can you hear us again?
I got you, sir.
Josh doesn't feel great. He thinks he's about 50%.
Okay.
Do you think you could do better than 50?
Yeah, I think I should be able to, yeah.
Do you know what more than 50 is? Because I know you are absolutely amazing at math.
51.
51. All right, there we go. That is 51 is greater than 50. All right, are you ready?
Ready.
All right, question number 1. Which Cardinals player hit the first home run at the current Busch Stadium, opened in 06?
That would have been Albert Pujols.
Albert Pujols is Randy's answer.
Now, Bill Hall of Milwaukee hit the very first home run.
Yes.
But then the first Cardinal home run was Albert.
Yep, and I asked which Cardinals player. All right, question number 2. At the trading deadline, Braden Shen to the Islander Capitals happened on 2026. The Blues played the rest of that season without a captain. Before Schenner, there was O'Reilly, then Petro. Who was the Blues captain before Petro?
It was big number 42, David Backus.
David Backus, we miss him terribly. He was a great centerman, wasn't he?
Yeah, and a great St. Louisan.
Great St. Louisan, yes. All right, what St. Louis City player scored the franchise's first goal and announced his wife was pregnant as the celebration?
Oh, man. Red-headed guy, defender, big fan favorite. Hold on here. Tim Parker.
Yes, Tim Parker is your answer. That's one of the options. We'll see if it's right. Question number 4. The Chicago Cubs entered their 108-year World Series championship drought in 2016. But which franchise currently holds a 78-year active drought with their last World Series win being in 1948?
The Cleveland Guardians.
The Cleveland Guardians, you're saying, has the current active drought. Time for the tiebreaker. How many regular season goals did Vladimir Tarasenko score as a Blue?
Ooh, I'm pretty sure it was over 300. I'll go with 3-2-1.
3, 2, and 1. All right. You ready for the answer? See who won the fight?
Ready.
All right, question number 1. Which Cardinal player hit the first home run at the current Busch Stadium? Randy, you said Albert Pujols. Josh, you almost went with Albert Pujols, then changed to Jimmy Edmonds. You should have stuck with your gut. The answer is Albert Pujols. Dang. All right, question number 2. After trading Braden Schenner, the Blues played the rest of the season without a captain. Who was the captain before Petro? You both said David Backes, and you both are correct. Randy up 1-0. Question number 3. What city's player scored the first franchise goal and announced his wife was pregnant as the celebration? Randy, the redhead, is right. Tim Parker. Unfortunately, Josh, you are down 2-1. Question number 4. The Chicago Cubs ended their 108-year World Series championship drought back in 2016. Who currently holds that drought? You both said the Guardians, and you both are correct. Randy is our fight winner today.
All right, I'll take that. Woohoo!
I think that's 4 in a row.
Yeah, I'm on a winning streak.
But Josh, I will have to say, if you could have mustered out a perfect 4-4-4, you would have won the tiebreaker. How many regular season goals did Vladimir Tarasenko score as a Blue? Randy said 321. Josh, you said 265. You were only 3 off at 262 was the answer.
Wow, there you go.
There must have been 3 that got called back that I don't remember.
He's a huge Blues fan just like me. And, I got to say, I'm wearing an Arizona State shirt. We are 1 month away from college football returning, guys.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Get it.
We can't wait. All right. Any last words, Josh?
No, thank you, guys.
All right, Randy, any last words for Josh?
Hey, Josh, thanks. Enjoy your time down there. And we're Facebook friends, so that's cool. Good to connect with you, and we'll do it again.
All right, perfect. Josh, you go enjoy some Florida sunshine. Go play that guitar, and that is The Fight.
And if you would like to participate in the fight, just go to matrixmidwest.com and fill out the form, or you can email us at thefight@matrixmidwest.com. We'll get in touch with you. We'll record on Wednesday at about noon, and you'll be able to play against me. So we'd love to have you with us as a participant here in the fight. All right, time for a trip around the horn as we look at some news and notes from Major League Baseball. And let's start with first base, and with the trade deadline passed, Baseball America has its new top 100 prospects out, and the Cardinals have 4 of them. Springfield catcher Rainiel Rodriguez is 25th. Left-hander Liam Doyle is up there. He is number 56. Since stepping foot on a professional baseball field, they say Rodriguez has displayed a blend of advanced plate skills and plus raw power and elite batted ball angles. His knack for finding the barrel is his defining skill. They say this about Rodriguez. He shows the ability to consistently drive the ball in the air, and his contact skills and swing decisions are above average for age, he's 19, and level, AA. And he does a good job of limiting strikeouts and getting on base. While the plate skills are impressive, Rodriguez's plus raw power is his loudest tool. He consistently gets to it in games by running high barrel and pulled air rates. Baseball America adds, he is an optimized hitter with strong underlying skills. So he's a guy to look forward to, Rainiel Rodriguez. Josh Baez is number 56. Baez now projects as an average contact hitter with plus on-base skills. His raw power is 70 grade. He leads minor league baseball in homers, and he gets to it in games more consistently with the adjustments to his swing. A plus runner as well. Baez is one of the best base stealers in minor league baseball. Baseball America says he presents true plus power and speed, and he can handle center field, but is better in a corner. But we might see him here in St. Louis next year. Liam Doyle is number 70, and newcomer Alex Frias is number 88. So we have a lot to look forward to with the Cardinals farm system, and they didn't even include a guy like Tanner Franklin, who just got promoted to AA, a guy like Gerangelo Sainja, who has a chance to be really good. There's some other Cardinal players in the system that might not be in the top 100, but have a chance to be really good Major League Baseball players. All right, let's move to second base. The Dodgers lost their 6th game in a row to the Cubs, having lost 3 over the weekend to Boston and then 3 at Wrigley in Chicago. It's August. They have an 8.5 game lead in the division. They know they're going to the World Series. It's the dog days. It's hot. They're bored. So what do we take out of the fact that LA has lost 6 straight? Absolutely nothing. 0. Nada. Last July, they lost 7 in a row and 10 of 12. Then over August and early September, they had a 5-game losing streak last year and lost 7 of 8. Won the World Series. The year before that, lost 6 out of 7 in July and 4 out of 5 in September. Won it all. My favorite, 2017. They lost 16 out of 17, the Dodgers did, in late August and early September, but still won 104 games and went to the World Series. That's because they also won 14 of 15 during late July and early August. The Dodgers are so good, they don't have to worry about the regular season. They've got Blake Snell coming back soon. They're going to have Tyler Glasnow coming back soon. They'll have Ohtani coming back to pitch, and they'll have the greatest rotation in the history of baseball come playoff time, and they just don't have to have those guys pitch during the course of the regular season. And trust me, they know they're going to win, and they're just kind of bored, which is fine. They can do that. They know they're going to win. All right, let's move to third base. The Brewers have the best record in the National League, and they've had to hold back Jacob Mizrachi with arm fatigue and had Kyle Harrison on the IL for a month. Christian Yelich has been a below-average player. They aren't getting production out of Yelich or Sal Frelick, but somehow Pat Murphy just keeps on winning, and in addition to being a terrific manager, he's a fun guy.
A lot of different things during the game. There's pancake. Actually, I got a little pocket pancake right here that I munch on. They're wonderful. You want some?
I would love some. Thank you so much, Pat. Oh, those are delicious. Pizza, bagels, what else do you keep in your pocket?
Whatever fits.
He's a beauty, and you can make a great case for Murph to win his third straight Manager of the Year award in the National League. Now, with all the injuries the Braves have had, Walt Weiss will get tons of votes, and he should. And with all of Chicago's pitching injuries, Craig Counsell will get tons of votes too. Weiss with Atlanta or Counsell with Chicago will likely win it, but there's never been a manager who's won 3 Manager of the Year awards in a row, and I wouldn't begrudge you if you voted for Pat Murphy. All right, let's get to home plate. And there's only one publicly owned Major League team, the Atlanta Braves. And as a publicly owned entity, they have to reveal their financial status to their shareholders. Well, one thing we found out this week from their shareholders meeting was that for the first 6 months of the year, overall revenues reached $377.1 million. That's an increase of about 5% from the first half of 2025, when they took in $359.7 million. The Braves played 39 home games in the first half of this year, as opposed to 38 or 40 last year. The team also reported an overall $5.8 million loss in adjusted operating income before depreciation and amortization for the first half, compared to $37.2 million in gains last year, and that's because of the loss of their TV deal. While negotiating in the next collective bargaining agreement, players and owners will continue fighting over the economics of baseball, including whether the league should have a salary cap. And a central issue is how teams are faring financially. Well, the overall revenue figures the Braves provide combine 2 buckets. There's baseball revenue, which includes ticket sales and game-related income. That was up 2% for the first 6 months of the year to about $322 million. Meanwhile, mixed-use development, that right there, the Battery, the team's real estate project around its home stadium, Truist Park, was up much more, up 26% to about $54.9 million in revenue. The Braves own 100% of the Battery, and if that's the case, if owners would acquiesce to the idea that ballpark districts are part of baseball revenue, how does that work for the Cardinals, who own Ballpark Village jointly with Cordish companies? It's going to be a hard math problem. And by the way, it is notable that with some of the best ticket sales in baseball and a strong TV deal now, the Braves' total revenue is $377.1 million. The Dodgers' luxury tax payroll this year, what they pay for players, is $430.9 million. The Dodgers' payroll is $53.8 million more than the Braves take in from every revenue source. So Atlanta could plow 100% of their revenue into payroll, and this is open books, and their payroll would be a $53.8 million less total than the Dodgers. And players think every team could do what the Dodgers do? Give me a break. Come on, guys, learn something. That is a trip around the horn. Those are your Major League news and notes here in The Fight. And coming up, we've got the list. As the Arizona Cardinals open the NFL season against Carolina in the Hall of Fame game, we give you the St. Louis Cardinals' best half dozen players while they were here in St. Louis. That's coming up next in The Fight. It is time for the list, and in this program, with the Arizona Cardinals opening up the NFL preseason by playing in the Hall of Fame game in Canton against the Carolina Panthers, we're going old school. The St. Louis Football Cardinals. Do you remember them? I do. And yes, the Arizona Cardinals played in St. Louis before leaving for Arizona after the 1987 season. The best players the franchise had while they were in St. Louis, they had some pretty darn good players. 4 Hall of Famers and others should be. And a lot of people think that there were some other fringe Hall of Famers for the St. Louis Football Cardinals. But we're going to give you the 6 best players that the St. Louis Cardinals employed. And number 6 is their longtime quarterback, Jim Hart. Signed as an undrafted free agent out of Southern Illinois University, Hart went on to become the franchise leader for the Cardinals in career passing yards with 34,639, completions with 2,590, and touchdown passes with 209. He was selected to 4 consecutive Pro Bowls, 1974 through 77, and was named the UPI NFC Player of the Year in 1974 while leading the Cardiac Cardinals under Don Coryell. Hart's career was marked by great arm strength and durability. He missed very few games despite playing in an era with limited quarterback protection. Hart was the centerpiece of that high-powered offense in the mid-'70s that captured consecutive NFC East Division titles, and when he retired, only Fran Tarkenton had more passing yards than Hart did. In fact, Hart had just 3 fewer touchdown passes than Terry Bradshaw and had more TD throws than contemporaries like Hall of Famers Ken Stabler, Bob Greasy, Joe Namath, and Bart Starr. Here's one thing. If Hart would have played in Pittsburgh and Terry Bradshaw would have played in St. Louis, Hart would have the 4 Super Bowls and Bradshaw would be an afterthought. If Jim Hart would have played in Oakland, he would have had Super Bowls like Ken Stabler did. If he would have played in Miami, he was a better quarterback than Bob Greasy. He would have won Super Bowls there. Same with New York, the Jets, and by the way, the Cardinals actually drafted Joe Namath and wanted to have him here. They drafted him in the 1965 draft. Hart would have never gotten an opportunity had Namath signed with the Cardinals rather than go to the AFL's Jets. And of course, if Hart would have had the opportunity in Green Bay, in those few years that he and Starr overlapped, he was as good as Bart Starr. It's a shame that he isn't in the Hall of Fame. Apples to apples again. When Hart retired, he had the 2nd most passing yards in the history of the league. So he was arguably the 2nd best thrower of the ball when he retired, yet he's not in the Hall of Fame. All right, let's move on to number 5, O.J. Anderson, another former Cardinal that should be in the Hall of Fame. Best known for that powerful running style, durability, and remarkable career rebirth. He achieved elite success both here in St. Louis and with the New York Giants. Over O.J.'s career, he became one of a select few running backs to rush for over 10,000 career yards and win a Super Bowl MVP. Look at that, man. He just blew people over. During his time here in St. Louis, he started his career with a 193-yard effort against the Cowboys on opening day in 1979, and then set the all-time rookie rushing record with 1,605 yards. He won the 1979 AP Offensive Rookie of the Year award, and he would go on to rush for at least 1,000 yards in each of his first 6 full NFL seasons. To this day, he remains the Cardinals' all-time franchise rushing leader with 7,999 yards. Nobody has come close, and in today's game, I don't think anybody will. Here's another thing about O.J. Anderson, and there's Theodis Brown blocking for him, the 2nd-round pick in 1979. O.J.'s in that same situation. If he would have been a Steeler, he would be in the Hall of Fame. He retired with the 8th most rushing yards in history, and he's still in the top 25. And there was a movement a couple of years ago to try to get O.J. into the Hall of Fame. How he is not is absolutely beyond me. He should be a Hall of Famer, and especially having played in New York and won a Super Bowl MVP with the New York Giants, it's kind of shocking that he isn't. An outrageous lack of respect for O.J. Anderson, who's number 5 on our list. All right, let's get to the Hall of Famers. Number 4, Roger Worley. He played his entire 14-year career with the Cardinals from 1969 to 1982. Widely regarded as one of the best shutdown cornerbacks of his era, Worley was inducted into both the College Football Hall of Fame as a Mizzou Tiger in 2003 and the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2007. Now, here's an interesting footnote about Roger Worley. Cowboys Hall of Fame quarterback Roger Staubach famously credited Worley with being a shutdown corner after finding him nearly impossible to throw against. Of course, that term is still part of football's lexicon now, but Roger was the first shutdown corner. In his last game, a fake field goal. He was the Cardinals holder, and he goes in to score a touchdown in his last game in the NFL. Selected by the Cardinals in the first round of the 1969 draft out of Mizzou, Worley intercepted Staubach 3 times in a single game in 1975 and caught more interceptions off of Staubach than any other DB. And this in his final NFL game in 1982, a 35-yard run for the touchdown to help the Cardinals into the postseason with a victory. A 7-time Pro Bowler, a 5-time first-team All-Pro, and a member of the 1970s All-Decade Team, a Hall of Famer, and number 4 on our list of the greatest St. Louis football Cardinals, Roger Worley. All right, moving on to number 3. And I always tell people when I introduce them to Jackie Smith, young people, I say this was Rob Gronkowski before Rob Gronkowski. He was 6'4". Jackie weighed 235 pounds in his playing days. His combination of elite track speed, he ran a 9.800, and powerful blocking revolutionized the tight end position. Jackie spent 15 years here in St. Louis with the Cardinals before playing his final season in Dallas with the Cowboys. And at his retirement, he held the NFL record for catches and yards by a tight end. Jackie was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1994. And besides being a talented receiver with great speed, that elite conditioning and great determination was what set him apart. Look at this, 5 broken tackles against the Cowboys on this play. Not only avoiding tacklers, but absolutely running through them. Jackie was an outstanding blocker as well. In an era where the tight ends were expected to block more than feature their receiving skills like they do now. Best season for Jackie Smith, 1967. 14 games, 56 catches, 1,205 yards, a 21.5 yard average per reception, and 9 touchdowns. This is notable about 1967. Those 1,205 yards, nearly 1,000 yards more than the overall average for a tight end in the league that year. The average tight end had about 200 yards. Jackie had 1,200. Jackie Smith named first-team All-Pro by the UPI on January 29th of 1994. He was officially voted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, as the 3rd tight end ever to receive that honor after John Mackey of the Colts and Mike Ditka of the Chicago Bears. And Jackie Smith recognized as one of the key players that helped revolutionize the position, and an easy Hall of Famer, St. Louis Cardinal, and still St. Louisan, Jackie Smith. All right, number 2, Larry Wilson, a legendary free safety who played his entire 13-year career here in St. Louis for the Cardinals. Larry later served as coach of the team and was a longtime executive until 2002. In the final preseason game in 1960, Larry got a chance to start at safety, and he made the most of it. Except when sidelined briefly by injuries, Wilson anchored the Cardinals' secondary for the rest of his career. He was the first safety to blitz the quarterback and invented the safety blitz, and he could also intercept passes. Won first or second team All-League honors 7 times during his career, and Wilson played in 8 Pro Bowls, reached his zenith with interceptions in 7 straight games in 1966. That was the year that he led the NFL with 10 interceptions. And during his Hall of Fame career, he recorded 52 career picks for 800 yards returned and 5 touchdowns. Wilson once famously intercepted a pass right here with broken bones in both hands, and still was able to play, and not only play, but intercept a couple of passes. Voted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1978, Larry Wilson was named to both the NFL's 75th anniversary team and the 100th anniversary all-time team. One of the all-time greats, not only here in St. Louis, but in the NFL. Hall of Fame safety Larry Wilson, number 2 on our list. And that brings us to number 1. One of the most dominant players the entire league has ever known, Dan Dierdorf. The Cardinals selected Dan in the 2nd round of the 1971 draft, and he went on to spend his entire 13-year pro career, 1971 through 1983, here in St. Louis, primarily as a dominating right tackle. Selected to the Pro Bowl 6 times, 1975 through 78, and then 80 and 82, and voted first-team All-Pro 3 times. He was an outstanding pass protector. He anchored an offensive line that allowed an NFL record low of just 8 sacks during the 14-game 1975 season. When his movement was compromised by a season-ending knee injury in 1979, Dan was able to shift seamlessly to center in 1982 to solve a personnel crisis at that position. He was an all-decade member in the 1970s in the NFL and later inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1996. The best and most dominant St. Louis Cardinal ever, Dan Dierdorf. And like Jim Hart, if Dan Dierdorf would have been a member of the 1970s Steelers or the 1970s Dolphins or the 1970s Cowboys or the 1970s Raiders, he would have been the starting right tackle. He was the best guy in the league, and he would have won Super Bowls with those teams and been as good as he was. He would have even played in more Pro Bowls and had more first-team All-Pro honors. Not only would be a Hall of Famer, but obviously would have all of those Super Bowl rings. Dan was as good as it got in the 70s and really as good as it got ever in the NFL. And here's an interesting footnote about Dan Dierdorf's 13-year career. When Orlando Pace of the St. Louis Rams held out in 2002, he was drafted in 1997, held out for a new contract in 2002, missed all of training camp, came in on the last day of camp, and signed the Friday before the season started. And he got a signing bonus, a massive signing bonus. When Pace put his name on the contract to get that signing bonus, he made more in that day than Dan Dierdorf made in 13 years of a Hall of Fame career in the NFL with the St. Louis Cardinals. The most dominant and best player the St. Louis Football Cardinals ever had was Dan Dierdorf, and obviously, if you aren't aware of this, maybe you should be. You will be now. As a player in the Hall of Fame, he also won the Pete Rozelle Award as a broadcaster in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So Dan is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame for two reasons, as a player and as a broadcaster. That is the list as the Arizona Cardinals start the season with the Hall of Fame game. We bring you the best St. Louis Cardinals that ever played right here in St. Louis. All right, coming up next as we roll on in the fight, I'm going to bring you a daily wager, and I'm going to tell you why we wound up with a push in our last show. So stick around for that excuse next. All right, time for our daily wager, and in our last show, we had a little parlay that DraftKings gave us of a hit, a run, and an RBI for each of three different players. Yandy Diaz of the Tampa Bay Rays, Junior Caminero of the Tampa Bay Rays, and Wyatt Langford of the Texas Rangers. Well, Diaz did what we needed, or rather Caminero did what we needed him to do. Langford almost did, but Yandy Diaz didn't even play. So we wound up with a push, no bet, because one of the players that we were planning on getting a hit, a run, and an RBI didn't even play. So we got a push there, we got our money back. But that doesn't mean that we're going to stop. We're going to give you a daily wager. And we started the show by telling you how bad the Colorado Rockies are. They've been bad for 5 years. The Cardinals coming home, just took 2 of 3 from the Yankees. Cardinals are playing well, pitching well. So let's look at this. And this is not going to be a huge money one. We aren't going to fly high like we've done on a couple of parlays this week. All we're going to do is bet the Cardinals at minus 250 to win the weekend series against the Rockies. That's a pretty substantial favorite. But still, as we say, you can never go wrong making a profit, right? So we're going to take the profit. We know the Cardinals are going to win at least 2 out of 3, maybe sweep. And we're going to put $100 on. And again, if you don't lose money, that's a pretty good thing. So let's do this. And we'll get $40 back. They're minus 250. Hey, you bet 100, you make 40. That's pretty good. That's a 40% profit. So we'll always take a profit here in the fight, and that is our daily wager cards to win the series against the Rockies. Be responsible in betting, and that's about as responsible as you can get right there. Coming up, I have a fun fact for you. We have story time with Uncle Randy, and we have Today in Sports History. Stick around. It's coming your way next. All right, time for today's fun fact, and this is great. Okay, I've got a fantasy football punishment for you. This guy finished in last place in his fantasy football league, and he had to go play golf with at least 2 people that he didn't know and do so without a ball. He couldn't tell the people why he was playing golf with them and not having a ball, and he said his playing partners were good sports about it and played along. What a great fantasy football punishment. How creative is this? You can steal this one and use it for your own league. Great creative idea. And the guy at the end told the guys that he was playing with what was going on and why he was doing what he was doing. But he couldn't, during 18 holes, say why he was playing golf without a ball. And so he was just imagining shots, had some bogeys, had some birdies. Pretty funny idea, actually. I really like it. So that is today's fun fact. If you have a great one, you should email me. Your best fantasy football loser punishment. Just email me at at matrixmidwest.com, or you can just send it to randy.carricker at matrixmidwest.com. All right, it's now story time with Uncle Randy, and Director Tyler is going to spin the wheel for a decade from my sports fandom and then a sport, and I'll come up with a story to tell you on this show. It looks like we're going to stop at the 90s, I hope. I like the 90s. They're easy. Okay, 90s baseball. So we're going to do 1990 through 1999. And I think we should do some early, there were some bad times with the Cardinals. And I believe it was 1992. And let me start with this. When Joe Torre was the Cardinal manager, they were finishing above 500 and really had no business finishing above 500 with the talent that Anheuser-Busch was giving him at the time. Down the stretch in 92, Cardinals go into Pittsburgh, and Lee Smith is the Cardinal closer. And Torre, obviously, with a lead for the Cardinals, is going to bring Lee Smith in. And Barry Bonds, of all people, in 92, it's just an absolute bomb against Smith. And I believe it was in the bottom of the ninth, and it wound up being a game winner. I think Barry actually might have done a pirouette as he was leaving the batter's box at home plate to give the Pirates the win over the Cardinals. Now remember, the Pirates were good then, 91, 92, 93. They were really good, went to the National League Championship Series, won the division all 3 years, and Barry was a great centerpiece. Barry Bonds and Bobby Bonilla and Andy Van Slyke were all terrific. What a great outfield that was. But I'll never forget the look on poor Lee Smith's face, who was a Hall of Fame closer, and he allows his home run to Barry Bonds, and he's walking off the field and just downtrodden. But the thing was, as I said, the Cardinals had no business, and here's that. Wow. He just let it rip. And Director Tyler is just awesome here getting this. And Bonds hits the home run, and the Pirates wind up winning this. And that kind of put the Cardinals away in that year. There's poor Lee Smith walking off on the walk-off home run by Barry. And Barry was awesome. But I felt bad for the Cardinals because they put everything they had into it in the outfield of Gilkey in left, Langford in center, Jordan in right. You had Zeal. You still had Ozzie playing at that time. I think Luis Alicea might have been at second. And Greg, that was actually the year of Galarraga, 92. The Galarraga was playing first base for the Cardinals, and then Pagnazzi behind the plate. And you had people, Bob Tewksbury was second in the Cy Young Award voting. So, okay team, but really no good reason for them to be as good as they were. Joe Torre got the absolute most out of the Cardinals when he was their manager. And a lot of people were happy when he got fired. I was happy when he went to the Yankees and wound up winning the 4 World Series because I saw every day what a good manager Torre was. For him to do what he did with that team was pretty good. And the Pirates, by the way, were pretty darn good too. That home run by Barry Bonds right there, that wasn't a fluke. Barry Bonds, before there was any talk of performance enhancers, he was already a Hall of Famer. He would have been an easy Hall of Famer had he just finished his career after the 99 season before there was any talk of performance enhancers for him. All right, time for this date in sports history, and it's 1983. And let's go back to the St. Louis Football Cardinals. The first NFL exhibition game, or the first NFL game ever in Europe, in London at Wembley Stadium. The Vikings beat the Cardinals by a score of 28-10, and here it is. And they played it at night in London, so it was like 2 in the morning here in St. Louis. And the Vikings did knock off the Cardinals. The Cardinals didn't do an awful lot in this 1983 game. Jim Hannafin was the head coach of the Cardinals at the time. And this was Lomax and Green and O.J. Anderson. But for all of the international action that gets played now in the National Football League, and they're going to expand to every team playing on the road overseas pretty soon. Every team will play overseas every year. It all started here in 1983 with the then St. Louis Cardinals against the Minnesota Vikings. How about that? And that wound up being a pretty good year for the Cardinals. They went 8-7-1 and played really well. But at that time was a really big deal. Now, the Patriots fly into London when they're playing in London for one of their overseas games. The Patriots actually fly out on Friday to get to London to play the game. And most other teams spend a week there or have spent a week there. I think it'll be so commonplace now that teams will just wind up going like the Thursday or Friday before. Rather than leaving right after their previous game on Sunday and spending a week in Europe, I think now it'll be Thursday and Friday that teams fly into Europe. And by the way, I believe it's the Rams and Niners open up this year in Australia. And the NFL wants to play games in Asia. They want to get into China at some point. I don't know if they'll be able to do that, but we're going to have overseas games all over the place, and it's going to take games away from American fans, but the NFL is globalizing, and they're going to do what they want to do. They do, as we know here in St. Louis, whatever the heck they want to do. All right, that is this date in sports history. Cardinals and Vikings' first Wembley Stadium game back in 1983 in the preseason. The St. Louis Cardinals take on the Colorado Rockies this weekend, and we've got the game for you right here on Matrix Midwest. It is at 7 o'clock on Friday night, Cards and Rockies, and hopefully the Cardinals can keep winning and keep those Rockies losing. They're a struggling franchise right now, and we want you to tell your friends that you see Cardinals, and this is great, our fastball program. It's consolidated game down to an hour every single day after a Cardinal game on Cardinals.tv. You will see this program, Cardinals Fastball, at noon and 4 right here on Matrix Midwest. So you can watch every Cardinal game and you don't have to watch 2.5, 3 hours. They had a rain delay on Wednesday night in New York. You don't have to deal with rain delays. Just watch for an hour at noon and 4 right here on Matrix Midwest. And don't forget to tell your friends that you see The Fight with Randy Carricker every day at 5 and 10 p.m. and then re-aired at 7 o'clock the next morning. And you can catch us on the Matrix Midwest app. And of course, you can catch us streaming on Roku or Fire TV or YouTube. Just search First Alert 4 on, and we're on every night at 7 on that channel as well. And of course, if you have us on the app, just listen to the podcast. You can find your podcast on any platform and listen to this 1 hour show in your car. Just Bluetooth us. It's really easy. And don't forget, we air The Fight just like we did tonight every week as well. Sign up to play at matrixmidwest.com or email us at thefight@matrixmidwest.com like Josh did today. We would love to have you be a part of the program. Should be a fun weekend, and don't forget, we've got golf coming up in the next couple of weeks. The BMW Championship is going to be right here at Belle Reeve Country Club next week. We're going to talk to Jay Delsing about that, and we'll have a lot more for you here in The Fight. For our superb director, the one and only Tyler Klaus, I'm Randy Carricker, and we appreciate you being a part of The Fight every single day, and we want you to be interactive with us as well. So you can email us at thefight@matrixmidwest.com. Thanks for everything. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time in The Fight. So long, everyone.